Hello, and today we're going to start bullion knots, which I know a lot of people think are really horrid, but we're going to show you that they're not that tricky today. So I'm going to start by apologising for the state of my hands, and I'm sorry I haven't killed a smurf. I was just doing some dyeing and seem to have dyed more of me than anything else. So apologies for that. So I've tied a knot in a piece of stranded cotton, just bog standard sewing thread, nothing terribly exciting. And I thought I could show you, like we did with the French knots here in a previous video, various different thicknesses of threads, so that you can see the bullion knot being done several times, but see how they look in different threads. So we bring the thread through from the back, and then take a centimetre or so, and then back up where we started. Now you'll find that you do need about 12 pairs of hands for doing these, but hopefully if you can borrow some people, or you'll get into how to make it work without too much difficulty. So we want to wind the thread around the needle like this and sort of push it along, not so it overlaps, but just push it up close to each other until this is about the same distance as this. Oops, sorry, wandered off to the right, sorry about that. So there we go, that's about right, I'd say. Whoops, now here we go. So now put your fingers over this stitching, the wrapped section like this, and hold reasonably tight, but not to sort of crush it. And then pull the needle through. I'm trying to get you to see what's going on, it's not that easy. And just gently tease the thread through. See, I've done it, there we go, just unwound it a little tiny bit and it's come through. And pull it, like this, until you end up with that, but don't panic. Keep pulling it through. Now you'll see I've got the second end of my thread in here, just to confuse matters, but we'll get rid of that, like that. There we go, pull it out of the way. And you see, you can just keep teasing it, jiggling it, and you get all the little wraps along there, like this. Then you put your thread back through where it came from, whoops, and your bullion knot is done. So that wasn't terribly impressive way to show you there, so I'll do another one of those. You will make me nervous, I'm sorry. There we go, so push it through like this, wrap the thread around until it's about the same as the gap that you left. Now don't pull too tight, see that's what I did the first time, just so it's sort of closed but not really, you know, pull tight on it. Grab this with your fingers so that you've got it solidly over the needle like that, and just pull the needle through. Oops, see what I mean about it needing lots of pairs of hands. There we go. See, it gets to this stage and a lot of people panic, but don't worry, just sort of tease it and wiggle it like that. There we are. And another knot. So up here. And there we go, like that. Now you can use them for whatever you like, really. I mean, they make quite nice little knots amongst other things, you know, like the French knots. You could just sort of, you know, mix them all up a little bit, but they're quite good for little branches or little toes of creatures, or, you know, whatever you fancy really. But so that's 6 strands of stranded cotton. I'll just see, I've still got all my mess from last time. I'm sorry about that. There we go. So we'll just chop that. You should normally tie a knot, but I'm just this is just to show you. So now I'll do it with 2 strands of stranded cotton, which is a more sort of a normal amount of a more normal amount. Again, once I apologise for the blue hands. This is something I do in my sleep normally. It's just I can't do it while you're all watching. There we go. Make me all trembly. There we go. And again, this size of knot can be used amongst, you know, with you can use various different thicknesses to create a sort of varied effect. You know, you can either use all the same one. They also make quite nice little petals as well for things, but you know, just to vary the size a little bit. You'll need to wind it a lot more because the thread is thinner. But there we are, like this. Now I've pulled that a bit tight, you see it's not going to help at all. And once more, I'm sorry, I've forgotten to mute my phone. Whoops, video 101 there, sorry. But the same process, just wiggly wiggly wiggle. Back down. Oh, and you can, of course, if you want to, you don't have to put the thread back down where you started. You can pull it over there if you like, and then you can have a bullion knot with a little tail. All up to you. Right, last one of these. This thread's getting a bit short. Now when you're making these, it's best to use what I call like a normal type thread, you know, like what we've got here I'm going to show you is a perlé, and there's some cotton and some stranded cotton. Something like this, which is a metallic thread, which has got a little core on it, is temperamental to sew at the best of times, but if you're going to use bullion knots, it'll just be a real pain. So particularly when you're starting, try and use something that's quite smooth. So something like that instead of this kind of, well, there we are, just bits have just fallen off it now, and it creates almost little points when you stitch with it. It tends to sort of, anyway, it's not a very nice thread to use. So something like this is much smoother and easier to use. But, you know, try, see how you get on with things. And again, something like a machine embroidery thread might be a little bit thin, just a little bit. You might just go a bit bonkers trying to do something with thread that's that thin. Now this is a variegated perlé thread. Sorry. I really will remember for next time, I hope. And if you've got any stitches that you'd like to see, or, you know, techniques you'd like to learn, just give me a shout and I can see what I can do for you. Right. So up, back down. And again. This one might be even a bit easier because the perlé is, yeah, there we go. Perlé is a little bit more sort of shiny and sort of slides against itself more easily. I'm sorry. Anyway, I will do this one with a little tail. Just for fun. Bigger one this time. think, if I remember rightly as well, you can do lots of extra winds. And then you can create a sort of almost like a loop. I'll have a go and see how it works for you. Now, bullion knots aren't one of my regular knots, that, you know, or stitches that I would tend to use, but, you know, I hope it can show people that it's not as scary as a lot of people think. There we are, see? Can you see that? It just creates a nice little loop, which again might be pretty for, you know, petals or just adding extra texture to your work. And as you can see, it works nicely in the variegated thread, changing from purple to through the lilac. So that's what it looks like with the pearly. And the last one is a cotton. Might be a bit thick for this needle, but we'll see. Oh, there we go. But again, it's quite a nice smooth feel to it, so it'll pull through itself very nicely when you get to that. I think in the teeny tiny machine embroidery threads it might be quite tricky to do, but the sort of medium, there we are, size threads work really well, I think. It's a very nice stitch, and I think sadly underused, so I'm hoping this video will show you that they're not as terrifying as they seem, and create all kinds of nice little textures and things. Well, thank you very much for watching, and please stay tuned for more.